Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us for the webinar today. Most of you on the webinar are new to Seabrook, and so we're going to give you a little background before we jump into our newest neighborhood, the South of Market neighborhood. So these are some new photos I just dug up. My mom dropped off the other day, and I thought it'd be fun to make a slide. But you know, Seabrook really started with our passion for the coast. Growing up, some of our happiest moments as a family were out at the beach and building traditions, and this really left an impression on myself and also my wife Laura, co-founder of Seabrook, and just her family as well, growing up at the beach. And so that really led us to wanting to live at the beach and ultimately building our own beach town. So I want to give you a little insight to that. We started on the Oregon coast, and we started with a little house painting business, which grew into a home building business, which grew into building our first community, Bella Beach, which was a little walkable neighborhood, something that was very unique to the Oregon coast. And it really took off, and we decided shortly after the project launched that we would try to build our own town from scratch. There was so much demand for, again, mixed-use, walkable communities where people actually knew their neighbors. Whether they're a guest or a resident, people interact very comfortably, casually. It's very approachable. Most of the communities that were being built for vacation destinations were typically gated communities, and they just weren't as approachable, and that's really what drove our market and our attention to detail and just the overall design and execution. So we started looking up the coast, closer to a metropolitan area, which was Seattle, and we have now been for almost 15 years since we found the land, been developing our new beach town, Seabrook. And for any of you who want to understand the more of the details on the community itself and the design, I usually give Saturday tours. Most every Saturday I give a tour that really goes into detail about what makes Seabrook unique and the principles of town building that have really been used all over the world and built the greatest places. And we essentially stopped using that formula until recently, and now it's back, and we're fortunate that we got to follow in the footsteps of other town builders. So again, we initially were thinking the Oregon coast, and after looking at all the demographics, it just made more sense to be on the Washington coast. One reason is there are 10 lodging units on the Oregon coast for every lodging unit on the Washington coast. And we knew that a lot of people that wanted to own vacation homes also wanted the ability to rent their home out. And when you look at this 3-hour circle that's on the right-hand side, you actually see that there's over double the population and over 5 times the household wealth in that 3-hour drive when you compare the most popular beach town, Cannon Beach, which is on the Oregon coast. But again, there's 10 times the amount of places to stay on the Oregon coast as the Washington coast. Yet we just have more people and more household income to support a little beach town. Now, part of the reason the Washington coast never took off was that, of course, the most beautiful part of the Washington coast is Olympic National Park, which is we're very proud to have in our backyard. Here's Seabrook. And then the 3 areas that were developed, Westport, Long Beach, and Ocean Shores, were built on sand spits. They were very low elevation. They allowed driving on the beach. And the design itself was more suburban, more focused on the automobile. Where the places that were popular on the Oregon coast, like Cannon Beach, were more walkable and more community oriented, and were centered around the main street. So this is why we decided to pick this location, and we just kind of fell into it. I'm very fortunate to find one of the most beautiful pieces on the Washington coast that was actually something that could be developed. Now, anytime people are interested in purchasing at Seabrook, I always go into the barriers to entry, and my advice to anyone buying real estate anywhere is to really understand what the barriers to entry to that real estate market is, and are they high or are they low barriers? And the higher the barriers, usually the stronger the real estate market, usually the more resilient the real estate market is. And Seabrook has, again, some very high barriers to entry. Number one is there's a real limitation on public infrastructure on the Washington coast, including the available land on the coast. So these first two bullet points are two of the highest barriers for future development to happen on the Washington coast. If you drive from Seabrook down to Ocean Shores, it looks like there's a lot of land to be developed, but actually there is no public infrastructure to support that land. Therefore, you don't see any new development happening. So we have a very good position when it comes to the land and access to public infrastructure. You won't be seeing a lot of new communities, if any, built near Seabrook because of that. The third one here is just the town design and execution. My wife Laura and I and our team have been building our own communities now for over 20 years, and we don't just build the communities, but we live in the communities that we build. And there's a lot of lessons learned when you actually live in the place that you work, and we absolutely love living in our communities, getting to know our neighbors, and being a bigger part of the place, rather than again, most developers don't typically live in their communities, and they're not as committed to them as we have been over the last 20 years. So that's not something that's easy. We're building something that's not easy to replicate, and that creates a very high barrier to entry. And then the last one here is just the vacation rental program. We have been in the vacation rental program starting on the Oregon coast with our first community now for, I think, 17 or 18 years. And when we started in this business, there were very few sophisticated management companies for vacation rentals, and we have really pioneered this industry when it comes to customer service and making sure we have all the best software, and we've always worked very closely with the software builders to make sure that we have the best platform available. And then we've also invested a lot in the internet and making sure that our homes and our rental program have exposure in addition to the town itself. So those are reasons that, again, there will never be too much competition for Seabrook. Our biggest competition is really the Oregon coast in places like Cannon Beach and Manzanita, and they are an additional 2+ hours away from Seattle, and most people would prefer to stay closer to home. So that's the main reason that Seabrook has had so much success to date, is its proximity to population and very few other options available. One of the things that we didn't, I guess, understand when we went into this is how big Seattle, Bellevue, Kirkland, Redmond were really going to grow. And not to mention Portland. We have a lot of owners and guests from the Portland area that have family in Seattle or friends in Seattle, and they like Seabrook as a midway point on the coast between these two fast-growing metropolitan areas. The next slide here just shows the growth in incomes in the Puget Sound, which really plays well to our market. They're expecting about a 45% growth in household incomes over $150,000 over the next over the last 5 years. So from 2015 to 2020. So all these new people moving into the area, and also the jobs that are available in the Northwest, all play very well to people wanting to get out of the city, and go to the beach and spend time with friends and family. And we believe Seabrook is the #1 place to do that. Right now we have two neighborhoods that are under construction. Most of the homes are being built now. There's actually 3 or 4 properties available in this neighborhood that I'm showing, the Farm District. We had 7 little orchard cottages here. You can see our little barn, some more houses surrounding the park, a couple of new tennis courts, a pickleball court, and there's also a farmhouse being designed right now that will have a demonstration kitchen in it that will recruit chefs to come in on the weekends to do farm-to-table dinners and demonstrations. And then across the street we have a community garden. So this is just a great little neighborhood for anyone that wants to be at the beach, but also be a little bit away from the action in the town center area. So Seabrook really caters to a lot of different preferences. If you want a little more elbow room, the Farm District is probably your place. If you want to be where all the action is, the new neighborhood that we're about to announce might be something of interest. Also, our last oceanfront community, or I should say neighborhood, Elk Creek, is also an attractive place if you're looking for an ocean view like the one here in front, where you can literally stare out at the ocean from your house. Very few houses in Seabrook have this kind of a view, but we still do have a limited number of properties on the ocean front available in Elk Creek, and I would encourage you, if you're interested, to reach out to one of our salespeople and get particulars. So now going into the Market Street townhomes and our town center, there is a big change that's about to take place in Seabrook, and over the last 6 months we've been putting all the infrastructure in for the town center, and this is really a whole new chapter for Seabrook, because we're going to be increasing the amount of retail significantly. Currently we have about 15 businesses. About half of those are in temporary buildings and the other half are in permanent buildings, but we're about to add 15 to 17 new businesses in the next 18 months, and expect most of those to be open by the summer of 2018 or sooner. So this is just showing one of the 4 primary blocks on our Main Street, and we just believe that when this Main Street's complete, that we will have a lot more people interested in visiting Seabrook, vacationing, more restaurants, more shops, more things to do. There's an arcade, a new grocery store, a toy store, a bookstore, a number of new restaurants coming in that will really make Seabrook much more desirable. There's some key ingredients when you build a town center, and this is based off of our retail consultant, who actually is a professor at Harvard University and one of the top consultants in the country. And so we've designed our whole Main Street around these successful elements. Number 1 is the shop till you drop rule. Everything here is designed within 1,000 feet. Studies show that shoppers, their best shopping experience is within 1,000 feet. So they want to keep everything relatively close, and then they typically end up going to lunch or dinner or relaxing. So how we do that is we're actually curating the businesses. So instead of having like some destination retail districts that have multiple options for, say, getting a pizza or going to the candy store or groceries, Seabrook will have just one of the best of each of those. So when if you want a pizza, you're going to have, you know, a great pizza. If you want to go to a great little candy store, we will have that. But you're not going to see, you know, businesses competing against one another. All these businesses are curated and complementary to one another to provide the ultimate shopping experience. So when people come out to the beach, they have things to do, and it could be a rainy day, and it doesn't really matter, because you've got all these great little experiences to see on our Main Street. The next thing that we really focus on is owner-operated businesses. You won't be seeing any franchises in our town center, although there's interest in different franchises. and larger businesses moving into Seabrook, we want to keep this very homegrown and very approachable when it comes to the business owners that run these businesses, and we want them to have a lot of passion for what it is that they're doing. Just because a business is going to work in Seabrook isn't a good enough reason to run that business. We want to make sure that the people behind these businesses really know what they're talking about and can connect with our owners, guests, and visitors in a meaningful way. Also, our town center is designed with this incredible ocean view, which I actually have at the end of the webinar. So every retail shop and every residential unit above the town center has a beautiful view of the ocean, and we preserved a view corridor that will always be there. It'll never be obstructed, and it will make the town center experience just amazing when it's all said and done. So also putting residential homes above retail creates a better shopping experience. It creates a more vibrant and exciting town center when you actually combine people that are living above shops and the shops themselves. And this is something that you don't see a lot of in new communities or even new retail districts, but it really does make a more vibrant and interesting place when you have people living up above. And for anybody that's on the webinar that's actually interested in running a business, we created this slide so that you could contact Don Whittles. He is not only a homeowner in Seabrook, his wife owns Sweet Life, which is a great little candy and ice cream store that we have. And he can give you all the particulars on what it takes to run a business in Seabrook and what we're looking for, and give you all the details. So right now in the town center, we have eight homes that we've released. All 8 of these homes have shops down below, and then again a residential home up above. The 4 that you see here actually have about a 700 square foot retail shop below, and then approximately 1,800 square feet above, which is a 3-bedroom, 3.5 bath townhouse. These also have a 2-car carport. These are actually, in my opinion, the most attractive because they're south-facing, so they block. I should say they get the most sun exposure, and all the balconies have this unobstructable view of the ocean looking to the west. So if you're someone that's interested, if you like the people watch and you like the vibrancy of a town center, this is really an ideal location for somebody that wants to have this, investment property, but also a great beach house above our town center. And again, the sales team has pricing and other floor plans and detailed information available on these. And then across the street, we have 4 more. These are a little bit smaller. They're actually larger in the retail section, about 1,000 square feet down below and 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath up above. And one thing I should explain is that when we sell these, the purchaser, we're going to be signing a lease with the purchaser, and Seabrook is actually the tenant of these spaces. That way that the owner does not have to deal with merchants moving in or moving out. We actually select and again curate the businesses, take the headaches out of it, and the purchaser actually just receives the rental check or the lease amount for the retail shop. And then if the homeowner wants to rent out the upstairs in addition to using it as a vacation home, they can do that through our vacation rental program. And I believe these will do very well because, again, the town center is a very interesting place. These all have views. These were designed with these bay windows to really capture the views, and then that one end unit on the right has a nice balcony looking over the ocean. So the 8 units that we were just talking about, or I was talking about, are right here. The north units with the south-facing balconies looking out to the ocean are here, and then on the south side, these four townhouses also have these views from their bay windows out to the ocean. Now we're going to jump into the Soma neighborhood, which is the south of Market Street neighborhood, and it's right here if you can see my arrow. And the primary feature in this neighborhood is actually the new park that we're just designing and about to build. This has a large lawn, has a pickleball court, a large fire pit, little amphitheater area, and a playground. And this is going to be a great town amenity. And all of this overlooks the ocean with these, filtered views of the ocean through the trees. It's really a spectacular location, and these homes will actually look over the park out to the ocean. And the first homes we released are right here. We released 4 houses, and these are called the Sea Havens, I believe, and they're about 2,000 square feet. And then we also have about 5 or 6 homes that we released on this section. They do not have ocean views. If they do, that would just be a peekaboo ocean view through the houses. But most of these up here do have some kind of a view from the property. But these 4 especially do. And again, as we release homes around the park, they will also have some nice views. So this is just focusing on the park. This shows the pickleball court, the lawn, the playgrounds, the very natural playgrounds, not the typical jungle gym equipment. We actually have one of those at the back near the farm district, which is very popular, but this is going to be a little more natural since we have homes overlooking this park. And then we have a nice big fire pit here, which is one of the most fun things for most people to do when they're here at Seabrook with, again, friends and family. And then we have this next park, which is just to the east, and this is what we call a pocket park. But these are little picnic tables and a little grassy area, just a nice little space to hang out and enjoy the coastal environment. So this is one of our homes that we've just released. This is what's called the Greenview B. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. This is one of our lowest price point houses. It has a daylight basement, but a really nice house. One nice thing about being a designer and a builder is that we're constantly improving our house plans and taking our most popular house plans and making them better. And so that's one of the advantages in buying in the new neighborhood, is that we've made a lot of improvements in some of our house plans that will be very noticeable when these houses are finished. In the meantime, you can walk through houses that are similar, but in our real estate agents will have to explain what the differences are. But you can get still a good idea of how much space is inside from some of our existing homes. This is another home. This is based off one of our most popular plans, if not our most popular plan in Seabrook. Actually, it's called the Willow, and this is, again, a new rendition of that, and it's the Willow Brook. It's a 2-bedroom house, but it also has a separate bunk room. You can't call it a bedroom because it doesn't have a closet, but it's essentially a 3-bedroom if it had a closet. And then a 2.5 bathroom house with almost 1,600 square feet. And there's a few different options with that house plan. And then here's another one of our houses, the Birchwood, which is a larger house, about 2,200 square feet, 3 bedrooms, plus a bunk room. So this could easily sleep 10 to 12 people with the bunk room and the 3 bedrooms, and then 3.5 bathrooms. Now the prices in this new Soma neighborhood are starting in the low to mid $500,000 range, and all of the homes are pretty roomy that we've selected here. In some of our other neighborhoods, we've had much smaller cottages, but the houses here are mostly all 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms, and even some 4-bedroom houses. So we do have an event coming up if you're more interested in learning about the South of Market neighborhood. It's on May 20th. We'll have some, probably some food and drink there that will make it fun, and you'll get to meet some of the neighbors in Seabrook. Also our sales team, and I plan to be there as well, and hopefully if I haven't met you, we can meet there. So if you are, again, interested in learning more about this, this is a good event. Now keep in mind that now that the neighborhood is released, we are taking purchase and sale agreements. We are not going to be looking at the purchase and sale agreements until April 28th. So right now it's kind of first come, first serve for this first release of homes, which are, again, probably 8 or 9 new homes. This is kind of a little exciting thing for us. We just made the cover of Seattle Magazine, and so if you're in the grocery store next week, these probably won't hit the stands until next week, but this just came out, and we got one of the first copies of it. So look for that when you're around the city. There's actually a nice article and several pictures inside the magazine about Seabrook. We also just released ourseabrook.com, and this is where families can share their experiences that they've had at Seabrook, share pictures and stories, and we just launched that this week. So if you do have a story already about Seabrook, hopefully you submit your story, because we'd love to hear from you and love to learn about what you love about Seabrook and what makes it special to you. And again, just go to ourseabrook.com. We also have some great events coming up. Savor Seabrook on May 6th, which is a really popular event. The 7. Mai Parade, which is a Norwegian celebration. Also, it's very well attended, and people have a lot of fun. That's on May 13th. And then we have probably our biggest event of the year, and it'll probably be also the hardest weekend to get a house, is Hood to Coast, Washington. It's their first year. There'll be 3,000 runners, and that run will grow to be a much larger run in the future. This is the first pilot year. They actually do have 20,000 runners a year down in Portland for the Hood to Coast, which is, again, the largest relay race in the world. And they're excited to bring this to Washington, excited to have Seabrook be the finish line. And then June 10th is Doggy Days, which is another very popular event. Anyone who loves dogs or can bring their dog out. They've got a lot of fun games and things to do. Ann Kilsberg, who owns the Salty Dog and our first merchant in Seabrook, she does a fabulous job with that event. And she also puts together the 7 Mai Parade. So if you want to have some fun, those are 2 great events. And then June 16th and 18th, we have our beach volleyball tournament, another very big event for us. We expect to have 40 courts on the beach this year and several hundred players. So if you do like watching volleyball or love playing volleyball, I encourage you to enter that. It's run by Alki Volleyball Association out of Seattle, so it's very well managed, and a lot of great players come out, so it's a lot of fun. And then probably the most special event for the year in Seabrook is our Porch Illumination celebration. If you haven't been to Seabrook around the 4th of July, this is, it really doesn't get any better. And people decorate their houses, and we instead of having a big focus on fireworks, it's a much more if you're not a big firework person, it's a great event. People still do shoot off fireworks on the beach, but we avoid having fireworks in town, and so we illuminate the houses with lights and decorations, and people just have a blast. And then also our Saturday markets are very popular, and those start July 8th, and they'll go through to the end of the summer. So, and our last slide here, this is looking down from our main street out to the ocean. This will be that view that I was talking about earlier, where we can watch the sunset and watch the waves roll in. So anyway, if you have more questions about our new neighborhoods and any of our existing neighborhoods, please contact our sales team or join us for one of my tours on a Saturday. Happy to show you around the town and give you more of the backstory. We do have some time for questions for anybody that does have any questions. Just go to the little question box on the screen there if you have it. And I do have some questions already that have been entered in. And the first question is, we love Seabrook and are thinking about purchasing a home there as an investment. What's your recommendation as far as which neighborhood? Well, what I tell people is focus on what your needs are first. All of the homes in Seabrook do very well in the cottage rental program, and I don't see one neighborhood necessarily outperforming another as far as appreciation. I think it's really more your taste. Now, the only exception to that, I would say, is the oceanfront neighborhood that we have remaining to sell. Because there's such a limited supply of that, they have those home sites and homes there probably have the most potential for long-term investment. But I think Seabrook in general has a lot of investment potential long-term, and it goes back to those barriers to entry that I was talking about earlier in the webinar. Those really hold our values, and our commitment to quality and design, I think, will really hold the value in Seabrook and protect people's investments, which is, I think, what people are the most interested in. So then it's really about size of house, and anyone can meet with our general manager of cottage rentals, Christoph. He came on. He worked for the Four Seasons, and he tracks all of our homes on which houses are most successful and least successful and why. And he'd be happy to sit down and talk about, what he would suggest for a home in the cottage rental program. Number two, I would just say the last thing on that first question is a lot of it comes down to how you furnish the home. If you furnish the house really nicely and it's well designed, some owners bring in interior designers, some are just great designers themselves, but that really is what makes the difference in how a house performs in the rental program. And again, most of our homes are designed, or the interiors are very nice, and it's only the homes that don't have the nicer interiors that struggle a little bit on the cottage rental program. So I think that has more to do with it than the actual location. Number two, I noticed you mentioned that you were just releasing 9 homes lots in the South of Market neighborhood. But what if after I visit the site, I would like to purchase one of the other home sites in the South of Market neighborhood? Well, the answer is yes. We have only released a certain number of homes. If you are interested in a home site that hasn't been released, we can work with a homeowner that wants to build a new house. So that's something that you'd want to talk to one of our agents about, and we're always happy to accommodate someone that is. We try to have as much flexibility as we can. We just don't have homes released on those lots, but the lots can be purchased even if they haven't been released. You just have to inquire about it. Number 3, how does the rent work on the retail spaces of the Market Street townhomes? Hopefully I kind of answered that question a little bit, and that is, Seabrook Land Company will be leasing the retail space. Most of the retail space we already own. We own the buildings permanently, and these spaces are unique in that they have residential units up above, so we're selling them, but we will be leasing back the retail space and then subleasing to the merchant. We'll select the merchant and put the right person in place, and you will essentially just collect the check, and you don't have to worry about how the business is doing or what type of business it is. We're gonna take care of that and make it really easy for the homeowner in this case. And then there's also there's more detail on that I can't give you, but the sales team can. The rents increase over time. There's like a graduated increase in price on the retail space to protect the homeowner. And again, those are good question, and the sales team has more detail on that question, but that's just kind of a general overview. How many homeowners put their homes in the rental program? Another good question, and the answer to that's about 60%. And even in our Oregon Coast community, we're at about 50%. So we expect that to stay pretty true. And really what makes our community so great is that we have a lot of full-time homeowners and part-time homeowners, in addition to owners that uses vacation homes and investment properties. And so that blend really works well, and it keeps the town exciting, vibrant, and it also supports our merchants and small businesses so that they can have great shops. If you had a vacation community that didn't allow vacation rentals, the chances are it wouldn't support the retail. So it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing. It really helps having the influx of vacationers who rent homes and also are paying for a lot of our homeowners' expenses, mortgage, taxes, utilities, things like that. So it's a great investment and vacation home, but also more and more people planning on retiring in Seabrook, planning on moving their families since we have a Montessori school now. Great little program. So there's kind of it's a real mix of people that own in Seabrook, but it's well maintained and managed. The last question I have here is how many owners break even in their how many owners break even on their investment? Another good question, really hard one to answer because it all depends on how much someone puts down as a down payment, how much they use the home on a personal basis. For example, we have some homeowners, in the first 3 to 5 years, they're really about investment first, vacation home second. And so they want to rent their house out as much as possible, and they use all the off time. And there's still plenty of weekends that you can use the home. You can come midweek in the summer usually and still get full rent on the weekends. But the more popular Seabrook gets, the harder it is to get in your home if you're using it as a pure investment, which is a good thing, and that's why we have some homeowners that have bought additional properties because it's a good enough thing that they want more. But we just did a survey and with all our homeowners, and almost 80% of the homeowners answered a question. Well, actually, the question was, does it meet or exceed your expectations for revenue? And again, just a little below 80% said that it exceeded their expectations or it met their expectations for revenue into the home, and that supports, again, mortgage, utilities, taxes, things like that. So I know homeowners that are in the black and the positive, and then I know owners that, again, they use their home a lot in prime time, and so they're not as worried about the rental income. They still do plenty well, but they also use their house a lot. So it's really a mixed bag. And then, as I mentioned, some of the homes that don't perform as well in the rental program are typically some of the older homes that have older furniture, or they haven't been well designed, or as far as the interiors go, and that really makes a difference when someone's looking at photos online. So there is some responsibility in the homeowner to just make sure that the house is well designed and the interior is well designed, well furnished, and equipped to meet a guest's needs. And we have a list, of course, but some of our owners go above and beyond that list, and guests really notice that. So that hopefully answers that question. Our average house here is renting approximately 160 to 170 nights a year, which is very good for any rental program or any vacation rental. And one of the things is that we're a year-round destination. There's a lot of vacation rentals in more seasonal markets that it's difficult to get in the winter, and the beach is just such an easy place for people to get to on a year-round basis. And the town center will really turn Seabrook into more of a year-round destination with more entertainment and events and places to eat, and again, very simple. You don't need to bring much to the beach, but it's something that people will come to year after year in any month or any season. And again, all you have to do is look at a place like Cannon Beach or some of the more popular places on the Oregon coast, and you'll see that they're busy every single weekend. And frankly, Seabrook is busy almost every single weekend. Our slowest time is probably in January, but after that, it really picks up. So that is the end of the webinar. Thank you for the questions. Again, thank you for taking the time to listen in and learn more about Seabrook's new neighborhoods, and we hope to see you at the beach.